Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Let's get this party started. All right, then you're going to go first. Everyone, this is Amy, the Director of Dining Services. Amy's first, but she only has 3 minutes.
Stop watching.
Do we think she can stick to it?
Amy's go.
No. Okay, so obviously Michelle introduced me, Amy, the Director of Dining. I honestly didn't have a lot to say today, Rob. So I just want to remind everyone to make their Thanksgiving reservation. Right now we have well over 200 people coming in for Thanksgiving, which is exciting. Yeah, I believe it's about 211 at this point. Our friends table is at like 32. We do that in the classroom. That's my favorite. And a lot of families coming in. I will be here. I won't be here for the last seating. So if I miss you, happy Thanksgiving. But I will be around. My Ella begged to come and work with us again too. She loves hanging out with you guys. So we'll both be here on Thanksgiving. But just please, reservation cutoff is going to be this Thursday because we need to make plans and seating charts and make it perfect. Okay. I just wanted to talk about your getting to know your neighbors. We've been doing that once a month. You know, when you go in, you pick a number from a hat. It's a lot of fun. I've been doing it on Thursdays because that's where I have the most staff. But it was requested that it gets mixed up and not always on a Thursday because people have standing reservations. And I get that. Mind you, we've only been doing it once a month. But that being said, in this month, it is going to be November 30th. Okay. November 30th. And then we're going to do one more in December. Okay. And then just one in December because we have a lot going on with the holidays. I have a lot of staff, you know, we tell the staff every summer, all of us leaders that, you know, you have a few weeks to burn, get your vacations in, make sure that, you know, you use all your time. And it always happens. It's the needs of the department, you know, and then they wait till the end and, you know, you got a cook that comes to you and says, I got 2 weeks left, you know, can I take them tomorrow? So, you know, you have no idea. Yeah. That being said, so December, we're going to do one more. I'm going to pick the date this week, I promise, and we'll get it out to you right away. And then come January, we're going to do 2 nights a month for getting to know your neighbors. Okay. That's what the request was through dining committee. They'd like to see 2 a month. Okay. And then new menus. You guys know we're in week 5 of our fall winter menus. Overall, how have they been doing? You're seeing your fan favorites. You're seeing some new items. How about that berry apple crisp? Oh. Yes, we had a couple call outs. So Amy's been here at 6 in the morning. My boss is here too, no pressure. And Rob, I got Rob over here with the microphone. 5 minutes. We do it on purpose now. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, I definitely made that berry apple crisp. That's really nice. That's yummy, I know. I bought fresh apples from Baldor. Yeah, so the whole idea. And then the flourless chocolate torte for my gluten-free friend in the back. Okay, so the idea is new menus. It's our first 5 weeks of the cycle. So my chefs are also new recipes. Please keep that in mind. So if there's something that you don't like, let me know. Email me. Tell me if it was a fan favorite or something, or if you're just not liking something. That's the idea of the first 5 weeks of new menus. Or if you missed something and you want to see something that you haven't seen, you want on the menu. I love suggestions, and I like when you guys email me or come and see me. All right, I'm done. Any questions for Amy? What, Rob?
No questions? Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Robert Dunn, Director of Environmental Services. Quick couple of things for me. Just an update on the annuals. We only have like 2 people to schedule until the end of December. So one, I want to thank Carrie for getting everybody scheduled. We got all caught up on a 12-month cycle back in July, and she's really kept ahead of everybody's dates. So we're doing extremely well on annuals, so I appreciate your accommodations and what we can do for that. So that's going extremely well. We got the pool deck finally cleaned, or for some of you that were asking for that, and we're gonna put that on a monthly schedule. And there'll also be a weekly plan to kind of wash the mats. All right, so that'll start next week for the washing of the mat. I don't have anything else. Any questions from you guys that I can take? The bees are finally gone because it's cold enough. Thank you. Which means the snow's coming. So just be prepared. All right. No questions? Wow, it's no question group today. All right. Anyone?
Can you guys hear us? Hang on. Okay.
Hi, Tom Tango, Director of Plant Operations. A couple things. Thank you for your patience with the crane. That last lift was today. They got the units up on the south wing. North wing, north, south. They're all done. Yeah. Yeah. People south have been real cold. But that was, thank you for your patience. There was a few hiccups getting the crane here. Last time he was supposed to come, a few days before that, he got stuck and he buried the crane in the dirt. And it took them a week and like $10,000 to get it out. So that was the problem last time. So that's done. That's been moving along well. Also, those of you I see out in the cottages, all the planters are replaced with block right now. And then Friday morning he gets the stone. So next week he'll start sticking the stone on them to make them look like the old ones. And that's been moving along really well. The new EV stations are all working. The 4 new ones and the 2 over here that were replaced. So those are all working. If you have any questions, bother Jason or Concierge. For everything, right? You can ask Rob if you want an answer. Talk to Jason. Questions?
How much does it cost to bring the crane here for one day?
Oh, no. No, because we're not paying for it.
Paying for it.
The contractor who's installing the units. Right. But crane, but just how crane prices work is you can only rent the crane for a day. If you get done in 10 minutes, that's a day. If you get done in 7 hours, that's a day. That's how cranes, that's how they, it's a good business. Oh, the whole project is 500,000. 5. The south and north have 2 and central has 1. The pool we're waiting on the motor. As soon as we get it, in it goes, and that'll be working also. The ones that are going up now, they're saying in like 20-25 years. And the ones going up now, just real quick, for those of you that don't know, a few years ago, we had a NYSERDA funded energy study to look at what do we replace the existing HVAC with when it goes based on energy usage, and can we be better? And the NYSERDA funded study said that when we replace those, to just go with what was there, but it's new, as opposed to what was there was maybe 5 or 6 generations old in HVAC world. So we are putting back what was there, but the newest, best, energy efficient model of that. And again, it's not just like us or saying it. That was, NYSERDA that looked into it to say that the payback on, because they looked at doing the wings with different type of units, gas, converting them to gas, a lot of different ways of doing it. But this way it proved to be the most economical in the way that's going to save the most energy and as far as paybacks. So that's why it's happening. Anything else? Yeah.
Tom, I mentioned this to you on the fly yesterday, but in case you forgot, the pathway down by Ray Smith's, the new pathway by the new cottage, we took a walk down there and the gully is so exposed and people couldn't fall in
Mhm.
and any emergency vehicles coming down I mean, it's really dangerous.
Yes, like I said, I will take a look.
I think like some kind of fence or something.
Yeah, like I said,
Railing.
I'll take a look. Yep.
Jean Raffo and I were speaking, excuse me, and Jean had a question of why don't we have a gate really in the two entrances to Woodland Pond?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this question has come up over the years and the collective decision has been that we don't want to be that kind of a community, that we don't want it to be a gated community. You know, we're open to community partnerships and to the public. If there's ever a question about why we might think that we need that, that needs to come to us. So if you have a question about security or safety, you need to bring it to us. We've never had a security incident that we needed to be concerned about. And now with the addition of the camera systems all over the exterior of the campus, that's a huge, you know, witnessing or surveillance addition. We've got the panic buttons installed. We've really leveled up in that case, but I think we've all collectively decided we don't want to be a closed off community like that. I think it would change the feel of everything here if we had, you know, guards and gates. So how does everyone feel about that? Yeah. Okay, there's the answer to that. Ina?
The new charging stations by the health center, are you gonna paint the blacktop?
yes, yeah. I don't know, may not do it too soon, but yeah.
Yes, a car was parked there yesterday, and it had parked all day, so.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. Actually, we're required to by code, so we need to.
Tom, there's gaps in the macadam next to some of the driveway dividers. They're gonna be filled in, I
Yeah,
guess.
there's a lot of blacktop repair throughout the campus that I had planned on getting the blacktopper who did the driveway and the repair to do. That didn't happen for a lot of reasons. And I made several calls the last few days to get somebody to come in and take a look. It's getting tight time-wise, but I'm not happy because I was really planning on having that guy do something. And I just couldn't, he and I didn't get together. He wasn't cooperative. There was a whole lot of issues, like you're aware. He wasn't as reliable as he could have been or should have been. But there's many blacktop repairs that we do need to do.
Tom, it's about time to bring the bikes in for the winter time to your winter
Yep.
rack. You said you had wanted some sort of ID on the bikes themselves.
Yep.
Do you have a standard you want to meet? Or is
No, I just need, like Concierge knows, I just, like, if you have a bicycle you want us to store for the winter, in the room we have downstairs for them, just talk to Concierge, they'll put you on the list, and then just, bring your bike down and we will store it. And it just needs to be tagged
No,
with your name.
I'm on the list already. The question is,
Then just bring your bike down,
what kind of ID do you want on the bike?
take a piece of paper, write your name on it, tape it on the bike.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't need to be any certain specific format.
Luggage tag or something like that?
Just,
Okay.
put your name on it so we know, whose it is.
Tom, one of the big initiatives was the cottages. You didn't say anything about them.
Cottages, the unit 1 and unit 3, this morning at 11 o'clock got their certificate of occupancy. Verbal. Building inspector came by and blessed them. So we are waiting now for, like I said, I got the certificate of occupancy verbally. I need to get it in writing. I should have that today, if not today, first thing tomorrow. And the third one is progressing rather well.
Tom, you have, you got almost all of the, LED stuff done in this in the main
Correct.
building. Is there any, have you seen any change in the electricity bill?
No, I haven't, but to be honest, I haven't sat and studied it, no. More question and then we'll give it to someone else.
Where the crane made tracks in the grass, is that gonna be fixed?
Yeah. That was the least of my concern, but yeah. All right, thank you.
All right, Tom, you have to pick someone.
Great.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bridget Blum, Director of Human Resources, and I just want to announce that I, on the way into this meeting, was able to give Bob Sorcy the list for the Rove residents, recognizing our valued employees list. So thank you very much to all of our very generous residents for your contributions to that account for the staff, for the hourly employees appreciation gift. The checks are being processed by the bank and will hopefully be, not hopefully, but will be distributed to the employees at some point next week. So they don't know when they will be receiving those. We do plan to do it likely on Wednesday, which is payday. So that will happen. Sherry at the bank is going to be working hard on stuffing those envelopes and will give them to us. A message will go out to staff when they are ready for pickup. So Bob has the list and the summary. I believe it was 243 checks for distribution. He hasn't opened it yet. I don't know, Betsy, what your goal was, so he will be able to give you all of that information. So very exciting news there.
How much was the largest check?
Over $2,700. And that was for an employee who worked just over 3,000 hours. So, and the smallest check was for $17, and that was an employee who was per diem and worked just very few hours. So it came out to be about 90, just shy of 92 cents per hour. So awesome, very, very awesome. Staff are going to be shocked, thrilled, excited. You know, so thank you again. Really, really incredible. So for everything you do for all of us, for sure. Really, it just makes my hair on my arm stand up. So that's all I have to talk about today. Any questions for me? Okay, all right, that's it. Okay, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Leonard, the Resident Services Director. Great to see you all today. So I just have a few activities announcements. So this coming Wednesday, the 15th, today at 7 p.m. is the Local Music Teachers National Organization District 5 teachers are pleased to present a community service music concert. The recital will include 10 selections from 10 students. So come and support these budding musicians with your welcoming and supportive presence. And there'll be a reception after the recital. So that's tonight at 7 o'clock here. And tomorrow at Council Connections at 2 o'clock here in the PAC, you can come and listen to Bernice Hummel, who is going to be talking about the memoir interest group, among other things. So that's tomorrow at 2. And then the flu clinic is scheduled for Friday from 9:30 to noon in the art studio. And if you're interested in getting a flu shot, COVID shot, RSV shot, you can visit Jeannie and Dedrick's, and she will let you know if there's space available. And then on Wednesday the 1st, in the PAC here is the Interfaith Committee, and they're going to be having an Interfaith Thanksgiving service, 1 p.m. Wednesday in the PAC. And that's all of the announcements that I have. Any questions for me? Right on. I guess Tom got it all today.
Okay, I'm Jason Irish, Director of Concierge and Communication Services. I have been running around all day and I don't have a lot planned for this. Here's a couple things. The first thing I want to talk about is Adopt a Highway. Cameron was the one who spearheaded that while she was here. We haven't really talked about it since she left. We're not going to plan anything for the fall here, but for the spring, I just want to get together with, I know Dave Smith and maybe Paul Fargis and a couple other people. We'll talk, get a group of volunteers and clean up the highway along 299, probably April or May, but I just want to, get that out there so people start thinking about it. One thing I want to talk about is trips. So not medical trips, but outings. Specifically, for today and yesterday, the trip sheet went out yesterday. The one that we stuffed in the cubbies, the last 2 trips on there said TBD on it. Those are wrong. We have updated copies that we sent to your email. We also have them at the concierge desk. When you turn in your form for anyone going on outings, just ask the concierge what those last 2 trips, the dates and times and specific information. If you've already turned in your sheet, go back to the desk, ask if you're interested in either of those trips, just for the updated info. Another thing I want to talk about for outings is cancellations. So an incident, not an incident, but this came up last month. If you cancel an outing that we purchased tickets for, if we don't find anyone to go on that trip, you get charged for that ticket. There's people that cancel throughout the month. Say, I'll just use Ronnie Sue as an example. If Ronnie Sue cancels a trip, say the 1st of the month and the trip is on the 15th, if someone cancels on the 14th, and we find someone to fill that ticket, Ronnie Sue is not going to be charged. The person that cancels on the 14th will be charged that ticket. I just want to make sure that that's clear. Again, we buy the tickets. We take care of the list. We don't leave it up to the residents to figure out who's going to take their ticket. Again, it's whoever cancels first will be the one not to get charged, not the person who finds someone to cover their ticket. I know it's a little bit screwy there, but that's just how it works. Is there any questions that anyone has for me at the moment? No? Good. All right. Thank you. That's all I have. I didn't have much. I'm going to go to Shannon.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Scatoro, the Director of Marketing. This is so loud. We've been a little busy on our end here. We've had tons of residents come in throughout the year here. We are welcoming 7 new residents starting tomorrow into the new cottage homes. And then 1 last will join us early December. And then another 16 moving into apartments, 9 coming in probably before the end of the year and 6 or 7 more into the beginning of next year. So you're going to see a lot more new faces as if you haven't already been doing so right now. And I know we're keeping the welcome committee very, very busy right now as well. We're up to 65 units right now on our wait list, and I can't even tell you how many applications in process right now. So we have lots in the pipeline here, and the interest for Woodland Pond just continues to grow, which is it's a great problem to have. So that is all I really have to share today. Does anyone have questions for me? Ronnie?
One of the new people mentioned to me, we were talking, that when they first came here, they almost drove right past Woodland Pond because you can't see the sign until you get right up to the entrance.
It's not angled, yeah.
Yeah, and the suggestion was that there be another sign facing, if you're coming from the throughway, and maybe even another sign the other way.
I know that's come up before, something we could.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we
Sure.
looked at it
Yeah.
and turned the sign, the quote was $10,000. I'm speaking into the mic. Everyone, I said it was going to cost at least $10,000 to turn the sign, which I think is a lot of money, and people still find us. So we can look at it. But yes, it's a lot of money to turn the sign.
Turn now.
I was here when Woodland Pond was built, and there was a lot of town opposition at that time. And I believe one of the issues was that the signage on the road should be very, very small.
Bingo.
Without moving the sign, why not do something on the two side panels? So that when you're coming up North Putt, at the end there, you can see a sign just saying Woodland Pond. And if you're coming from Shivertown, the same. Two side panels, not moving the sign at all.
We can look into it. I don't know. I mean, to Tamar's point, I don't know what we are allowed to do on the road without getting, it's actually a county road. North Putt is a county road, so I don't know what we would have to get approval on, but I can assure you people are finding us. So,
Yes,
right, we
tours every day all week.
Bernice, here's the mic for you.
I'm just wondering if there couldn't be a sign for people who come off the thruway right there at the corner of 299 and North Putt. Just a small one with an arrow.
We can look into it. And sometimes that gets really cluttered with signs. A lot of apple orchard signs and stuff. I think you're good, Shannon.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so I've got some updates to give you guys. So for those of you that I haven't met, I'm Michelle Grolia, the CEO here at Woodland Pond. I want to go through a few things. First and foremost, this morning we were the sponsor of the Ulster County Chamber of Commerce breakfast. We had put the invitation out to any resident or staff member that wanted to attend. And we did have a few residents that came and a few staff members, which was great. It was fabulous. Tom, you agree? I thought it was great. For those of you that came, Carl Rodman, I don't know who else is in the room that was there. But it was great. I know, I just don't know the ones that were here that were there, but President Wheeler from SUNY New Paltz talked, and it was a full house. And I ended up getting stopped afterwards. I mean, like, not only did they clean up, but then like they were shutting the lights off, and the people were still coming up to me, wanting to talk more about Woodland Pond. So just the local business owners and things like that. As I talked briefly about, some of the things about Woodland Pond and just about how we have really created a focus on our community partnerships over the last 15 years. And I think that that's something that's been instrumental to our growth and also our exposure. And then that was a theme that President Wheeler really kind of brought through his discussion. And Dave Smith, who couldn't be here for the meeting, told me that if he was here, he was going to ask me to expound a little bit on that. And I forgot to print it out, but I had written a list up in the Chanticleer in August after I met with President Wheeler here on campus about some of the ways that I thought that we could enhance the partnership with SUNY New Paltz. So because I didn't bring it, I'm not going to try to remember it here, but I will put it back in the Chanticleer again if we can fit it this week. So just be on the lookout for that. But I do think, and it seems like he's really interested in not only additional community partnerships with Woodland Pond, but with the community at large, but he reflected on that. So it was another excellent opportunity for Woodland Pond this morning. Thank you to Shannon and her team for getting there early, and they absolutely loved the little notebooks. So the next thing I wanted to just mention, so some of you have started to get correspondence from either me or Kathleen Desmarie, who you'll recognize from Concierge. She's been sitting in Cameron's old office. She's helping us with the audit of your emergency papers if you reside in independent living. And I'm really glad we're going through this exercise. If you have not started doing it yourself based on the checklist that we had put in your cubbies last week, please do so. She's doing it too based on a high-risk list that I gave her. And when you say to me, what do you mean a high-risk list, Michelle? So the people that we're putting in the high-risk list are the people that have lost a spouse since they've been here, or one of the spouses may have had changes in cognition. And the reason this is important is because if you came to us with a healthcare proxy form or a power of attorney form, or a MOLST form, or another advanced directive. And any of those things relied heavily on your spouse to be one of those roles, whether it's the healthcare proxy or the power of attorney, and that person either is passed or no longer has the legal capacity to do so, and you haven't updated that paperwork, or we don't have the updated paperwork, or let's say it's not a spouse. Let's say it's a brother or a sister or a family member that has had that same experience. They've passed away or they don't have legal capacity anymore. If you can't speak for yourself, let's say you've had a stroke and we have to get that paperwork to EMS or to the hospital because we're now the guardian of that paperwork in your emergency packet, at that point in time, it's too late for you to change it. We're finding in almost every file we're looking at, there was like 8 or 9 or 10 data points on that checklist we put in your cubbies. Almost everyone has outdated data, and it's not your fault. It's just time goes on. So please do that exercise. You don't have to wait for us to get ahead of it. So if you didn't look at that checklist in your cubby, it had things on there like your medication list, your health diagnosis. And it's not because we're trying to be big brother. It's because if you can't speak for yourself and EMS comes in and you're laying on the ground and they're trying to decide, what am I doing with this person? Your advanced directives are incredibly important. Your medications that you're on are incredibly important. And if we're printing something out that came in from the day you walked in the door and you've been here 7 years, chances are something's changed. And those healthcare proxy forms and those powers of attorney forms, really, really important, especially if you only initially had just your spouse on there and that person's passed away. If you didn't have 2, we recommend 2 for both healthcare proxy and power of attorney. And obviously someone that is either deceased or doesn't have legal capacity anymore due to cognitive changes, we're really encouraging you to update those. We have the blank forms for all of those things that you can get from us. Kathleen has them. I will leave blanks with Concierge. Just somebody remind me to do that. And then the power of attorney forms need to be notarized. We have many notaries here, and we do that service for free for you. Actually, I'm gonna make a note to make sure that that's in the handbook that we notarize for free. So again, this is not because we're trying to be, too big brotherish. I assure you, it's because we want to be the most prepared if you can't speak for yourself. So Kathleen is here a couple days a week helping out on that project, and you can find her in Cameron's old office. You can stick your head in. She's as sweet as a pea, and she'll help you with anything. And this all does tie into the AED question, right? So we've got the AEDs there now at concierge and reception. And there's been a question by some raised, if I don't want to be resuscitated, how are you going to know that? We're kind of looking at all this stuff to figure out, do we have strong advanced directives on all of you? Would we be comfortable putting a sticker on your badges? We got to figure all that out. But right now we need to understand, do we even have the most updated advanced directives? Are they using the form that's recommended in New York State, which is the MOLST form that Mary Jo has outside of her office? So it's going to be a long process if we just rely on Kathleen, because there's a lot of you here and she's only here a couple days a week. So if you can help us get ahead of it, please do. And if you need a copy of that checklist, we'll leave blanks at concierge as well. Any questions on that?
If you needed to just change the address of someone, not say that was for your power of attorney and it was just a change of address, does that have to be legally done, or can we just change it and initial it?
Is it just, I think just putting it on a Post-it and attaching it would be fine for that. I don't think that's a problem. The other thing we're looking at too, if you had looked at that, is to make sure that we have at least 2 emergency contacts for all of you on your emergency contact form, because we have found that if you are unresponsive or we can't, you go out to with EMS, we're calling on your emergency contacts form. And sometimes we're finding that those are not valid anymore. We want to be able to get in touch with somebody on your behalf too. So again, not trying to be intrusive. We're just trying to be able to speak for you if you can't speak for yourselves. And the only things that can do that are those pieces of paper. So I think Halima has a question, Jason.
Michelle, as far as identifying if a DNR, I believe they sell bracelets. Maybe we could buy them for whoever wants them so that it be standard.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things available online that are standardized. It's just, before we get to that point, I want to make sure that we are encouraging residents to get that paperwork updated. But yes, I want to move to something standardized. Some residents have moved to things. Ray Smith, I know, is wearing a bracelet that's I do not resuscitate. I also want to speak to, and I'm working closely with the New Paltz Rescue Squad chief. I don't know if you all watched my weekly address yesterday. We're talking about the ambulance numbers and things like that. I'm also speaking to him about what they would look for, because they may not look for a bracelet. They may not look on your badges. I want them to, and us to develop something. They're definitely going to look in your emergency packet. But if you fall down out here, the question is, what are they going to look for? So we can develop a protocol here, and whatever it is, I want to standardize it. Any questions on that emergency paperwork stuff? Go ahead, Mr. LaPerche.
When you dial 911 and that automatically, does that go to the rescue squad nearby? And is the procedure when they come in to go to the cubby and find that paperwork, or are they going to try to resuscitate immediately?
So if you call 911, it goes to the Ulster County 911 center. And if you're calling on the phone or someone's calling, they're going to ask what your address is. I think they can also triangulate the phone call, but they're going to ask you what the address is if you're on the phone with them. And someone's going to tell them where you are. And if you don't know the address, you say Woodland Pond, they're going to figure that out. They're going to try to ask you where in Woodland Pond you are. If you are in your home at Woodland Pond, our rescue squad here knows to look in the cabinet above your microwave or by your microwave there. That's where your emergency packets are. Now, pursuant to the conversation I had yesterday at my weekly address about how challenged the ambulance system is in Ulster County right now, there have been increasing occasions where it's not the New Paltz Rescue Squad that's coming. More often, we are seeing the Esopus Volunteer Rescue Squad coming, and periodically we're seeing other ones come. Now, it is still primarily New Paltz, but because their numbers are down in terms of staff, and because they're getting pulled onto more calls, we are seeing other ambulance companies. So if it's a different ambulance company that's coming, they won't necessarily always know where to look for the packet. But New Paltz Rescue Squad knows the emergency packets are above the microwave in that cabinet. If you go down in the hallway and you're not in your apartment or cottage, this is why it's so critical to be wearing your PERS all the time. And a lot of you, if you look down right now, I know you don't have it on. I will tell you, we have incidents all the time, and we don't tell you this, and I feel like maybe we should. All the time, we have people that fall down without their PERS, and it's actually a miracle that we haven't had worse situations than we have, but we have had a lot of near incidents. And we've had one recently where a resident had a medical incident, a very serious medical incident, life-threatening, and she was not able to quickly reach her PERS. I mean, she was in bed and it was on her bedside table, but because of the nature of her incident, it took her the entire night to scooch herself to her PERS until she could get medical attention, from 8 at night till almost 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. And she did everything right. I wouldn't necessarily say you should be wearing your PERS around your neck at night, because it worries me about people choking too. But she kind of did the right thing, because it was on her bedside table and she was in her bed. A lot of you don't wear them at all. So some of you have no idea where they are. Okay, these are a life-saving device and they have saved lives here. I can tell you that 100% for sure. So if I don't encourage you of one thing, it's to wear your PERS because you don't know when you're gonna need it. Now, if you hit your PERS, Mr. LaPerge, that's not gonna call 911. That's going to do a couple of things. That is going to set off an alarm that is displayed at concierge, and it alerts. It gives a verbal alert at concierge, alarm, alarm, alarm. And if you ever are at concierge and the PERS goes off, you'll hear it, alarm, alarm, and it tells you where it is. It also rings the phone of our manager on duty. So all of us take manager on duty call for a week at a time, and it always tells you at concierge who's the manager on duty. And when we're the manager on duty, our cell phones take the forwarded calls. That PERS automatically rings to our phones. It doesn't get relayed to concierge and then come to us. It automatically comes when you hit your PERS. So what we do, or what I do, I don't know what the rest of these people do, but what I do is if I get 2 consecutive alerts from a PERS, I take that to mean that no one has responded yet and cleared that PERS alarm. I will call concierge and say, what's going on? So if I haven't heard from someone to say, you know, it was Ina, she's okay, it was a false alarm, I will call concierge proactively and say, why did I just get 2 PERS alarms in Ina's apartment? Somebody go check on her. And they'll call me and say, it's all right, maintenance is on their way, or maintenance is with her, or it's not okay, maintenance is with her and she's on the ground, EMS is on their way. So that's how those PERS are working. That's how those PERS are powerful. The other thing about the PERS is we have a cellular PERS available to any resident that wants to take it from concierge. That one works anywhere and it's voice activated. Okay, we only have one because it never gets used and it's extremely expensive. I wish more people would use it, but if you wanted to go for a walk on the property, you could take that, or if you wanted to walk into town, you could borrow that from concierge, and that one actually can find you wherever you are, unlike this one, which works off low voltage wiring in the building and just on the sidewalk around the building sometimes. That one at the desk, you can actually you can hit the button and talk to whoever answers it. So that's available at concierge as well. All right, any questions on that stuff? Okay, all right, my next topic that I wanted to talk about was, yes,
I have a related question.
yes, sir.
I was quite happy to make donations, more than one, to the Alzheimer's Fund. But now that I'm hearing about the pickle that the rescue squad may be in, I think it would behoove me, it would be of more direct benefit to me if I were to make a similar contribution to the rescue squad rather than to Alzheimer's. There are a number of charitable demands on all of us here, and I think we have to pick and choose. Most of us are not plutocrats. So I think you should be better, you would be better off promoting donations to the rescue squad.
I will take that under advisement. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about, and this is going to now become a standing item at these meetings. We're going to talk about expansion and refurbishment. And the extent to which we discuss that at these meetings is going to vary depending on what's going on, but it's going to be a standing update at these meetings because there is actual activity happening now, okay? It has been surprising to me that when I've mentioned this in meetings, people are still like, what? So let's make it formal. Woodland Pond is and has been actively for almost 2 years been exploring the option of a large offsite expansion because we have a 65-person waiting list and we can't all fit in this building. So when you have a big waiting list and you can't fit any more people in this building, you have to talk about what are you going to do with that waiting list. So yes, and many of you met with the actual developer that we hired to help us explore this, Greystone. They came up from Texas a year and a half ago, maybe. I don't remember when they came. A year ago. So the developer that we hired to help us explore this, Greystone, out of Texas, just does senior living expansion development. And they have been helping us try to explore what our options are for expansion. The purpose of expansion for Woodland Pond and other senior living communities like Woodland Pond that are 15 to 20 years old is once you get a large waiting list, there is a significant opportunity to grow your revenue base with increasing independent living units and not really substantially grow expenses, because independent living units don't really come with significant expenses beyond whatever it costs to finance the units. So because you don't have beyond a little bit of housekeeping staff and some maintenance staff plus maintenance shop, you don't add a ton of expense when you add independent living units because you're not adding healthcare, right? So our most expensive part of the campus is healthcare. We don't need to add any healthcare, but we do need to add independent living. So we're exploring that. And what exploring that has looked like for the last 2 years is a lot of focus on what kind of land is available to us. What do we need to think about adding based on our wait lists? What kind of refurbishment and renovation do we need to do on this campus? And that's been an extensive discussion with the developer, with the interior design firm, which has been selected. And then the biggest question is, what does the financing look like? Of course, because none of this can be financed with the existing financials, right? Anything that we do has got to be borrowed for, right? With the bondholders. And so you want to do something that is borrowed for and then ideally paid back with the entrance fee proceeds from the folks that move into the new units, just like we did and are doing with the cottages. So the new cottages are being paid for by the entrance fees from the new cottages. And because, and this gets really into the weeds, but because, I don't know if all of you realize this or not, but we have eliminated the 90% refundable plan. We do still have a 75% refundable plan, but hardly anyone is taking it anymore. So even though we're taking in entrance fees, we're selling contracts that have hardly any refunds on them because we don't sell the 90%. Hardly anyone's taking the 75%. Most are taking the 0% refund. A few are taking the 50%. So we're bringing in significant entrance fees without liabilities on the backside. So paying off the construction costs and then bringing in the monthly service fee, generating revenue. So this is how communities are growing their revenue bases, and Woodland Pond is now at that age in our life. And we're looking at how does this campus have to evolve to meet the changing needs of this campus. So this is the conversation that has been going on for the last couple of years. There were roughly, 12 residents involved with the Greystone conversations. It's been discussed ad nauseum with the finance committee of the residents as to what is going on with the, where the projections need to go and things like that. So where we're at now is we have identified land that we're interested in. We ideally want to stay in New Paltz, obviously. And we are in negotiations with a landowner on adjacent property to this property, that is large enough to accommodate the number of independent living units that we would need to make this financially viable. So we do not have a contract for the land yet, but it's in negotiation. If we sign that contract is not a purchase agreement. That contract is what's called an option. And that gives us 2 years to do due diligence on the land to make sure that the soil can be remediated because it's apple orchard land, just like this was. And to work with the DEC to make sure that the wetlands are what we think they are. Because if there's more wetlands than we thought, then the project's not viable. We can't put enough units on it. And to work with the village to make sure that there's enough sewer capacity. And to make sure that the titles are clean and to make sure that the financials are all going to work the way we think they are. But at least it locks in that he doesn't sell it to someone else and that we act in good faith. So that's called an option. Okay, so we're working towards that. So we're almost there on signing the option with that landowner, which will give us 2 years without him being able to sell the property from under us while we continue due diligence. Okay, again, that's not a purchase, but it's giving us 2 years to do official due diligence without them selling the land with an agreed to purchase price. The other thing that's in just about final is we have selected and had selected more than 6 months ago, the interior design firm, more than a year ago, the interior design firm that's going to do the refurbishment of this campus. And where it is, the contract piece is almost signed, but what, at the same time, what they're doing is they have come back to us with multiple different versions of what they are suggesting we do here. No color schemes yet or anything like that. But what they think are priorities, what they think we have to do, what they think is a middle level thing, and what they think are wish list items based on feedback from staff, from residents. We've done no focus groups yet. There's nothing granular, but these are high level things like the PAC is not working. This room doesn't work for us, and it's definitely not going to work for us if we grow. That's a baseline. As to what is next, they haven't come back and said this is what's next, but we all know the PAC's not working. This is not a useful space. The room doesn't have a purpose the way that it is. It's an all-purpose room. It's just not great. The storage, it doesn't work. Like, this is not attractive. I mean, you look in this room and it just is kind of, Deborah? Hodgepodge. You know, and I mean, everybody knows. Ronnie. You know, so they're working on just right now kind of high level. We know that the dining space needs to change. We know that there are things that just are not the best that they could be based on the changing needs. The design of this campus was done, if we're 15 years old, the design was done 20 years ago. And we can't move the wings. We can't move the pool. But there are certain things that can be moved around. You know, maybe the offices aren't in the best spot. You know, maybe some of the things can be moved around and change the carpets, update, you know, the skilled nursing dining room. Like, there are certain things, there are bricks and mortar that do need to change. There are certain things that just need a new fresh coat of paint, a different couch, and a new carpet. There are certain things here that are sacrosanct, right? And once we start to get into granular details, there will be resident focus groups and things like that. But the architect contract is close to being signed. The next thing that has to happen is, did I say architect? I meant interior designer. The next thing that has to happen is we need to select an architect. The architect will be selected from what's called a request for a proposal process. So it will go out globally through an RFP. And ideally, the architect will be the architect for both on-site and off-site expansion, because we want cohesiveness. We also want that economy of scale. None of us can be the project manager on this, on the Woodland Pond side. There will be a developer involved. There will be an architect, an interior designer, a construction manager. There will be lots of professionals involved, engineer. But even at our level, none of us can absorb this workload. Tom did an incredible job overseeing the 6 cottages, but all of this is a full-time job for someone. So soon you will see, if you're interested, we're probably going to post publicly a job description for or recruitment for a project manager. Because this is a 5 to 7 year endeavor that's going to happen between the two things. And you know, Tom and I don't have the bandwidth, nor does anybody else here have the bandwidth to do this. Because this is going to be a lot, and it's going to happen in phases, but it's going to need full-time attention from someone at Woodland Pond that works closely with all of us, the person that will help the developer schedule focus groups with the residents, like even that kind of stuff. We just don't have the time to do it, but it's got to get done. So this is what's happening. Nothing is concrete yet. There is no decision by the board that this is going forward. The only thing that the board has authorized at this point in time is to sign the contract with the interior design firm and to sign the option for the land. And they already had previously signed the contract with Greystone, the developer, to determine if there's a possible feasible project here if the numbers hit right. That's all that's been approved so far. There's no approval to expand. There's an approval to research and an approval to do due diligence. But we have an extensive waiting list. We have an enormous amount of interest, and we have adjacent property that would be the best possible thing for us to acquire, because that means that those people with a golf cart ride or a ride on Jason's bus could use this pool, and we don't need to then build a whole second set of amenities. So that's where we are. I will take 5 minutes of questions. Rob, start your watch.
Correct.
I have one comment and one question. The comment is, if we bring in a lot of independent living people, more of them, eventually we will have to be looking at the health center.
So,
I mean,
yeah, so I can address that. So right now we have 35 too many beds in the health center that are filled with direct admits from the outside.
right.
That was a perpetual waiver that was given to us by New York State. We have stopped taking new direct admits from the outside in anticipation of this. So as those folks leave us through attrition and go to the pearly gates,
Right. I got it.
those beds will open.
Okay. Okay, the question is, and it concerns me, the physical environment has a lot to do with the social environment. Woodland Pond has, especially pre-COVID, a wonderful social environment. And some of these experts, do they have any interest in or ability in social relationships?
No, they don't like people at all. Actually,
But
they're all
whatever
robots.
they decide, it's
they're all
going to
AI.
impact.
It's all AI. Everyone that we're partnering with through this process, and everyone that we have done so far, and everyone that we will in the future on this particular project, is all coming from the senior living industry. Every single one is coming from senior living. So, for example, the architect that we selected only came from a pool of architects that only works in senior living, and we selected them based on visiting other senior living communities that they are working in, and that we liked the work that we saw because they are working directly with residents. I keep saying architect, I mean interior designer. And the residents are going to have a big voice in this beyond just even having met with the developer. So it's instrumental. Yes. Next question, Paul, and then Margaret.
I'm curious to know how many units are contemplated. Will they be multi-story? And is the property the Ermine Lane property?
So the property is off of Ermine Lane. So it's south of Ermine Lane. It's a combination of cottages, so single-story cottages, and multi-story, what's called hybrid buildings. What we would have preferred, our unicorn would have been just a neighborhood of all single-story, because that's what the market wants, and that's what we thought would have been more agreeable to the village planning board. As we've gone through this more, we actually think that the planning board is going to want less of a footprint, possibly. But there is going to be multi-story. It's going to be unavoidable, but not as tall as this.
Maybe my question should have been, how many people are contemplated, not how many units?
So right now we're looking at probably between 38 and 45 units. We're right now currently 30% doubly occupied is our current double occupancy level. And that's pretty typical of the industry. So let's say round it, let's say 45 to 48 units, 30% double occupied. So we're estimating maybe 70 residents. Well, that will have its own dining space. But then our whole dining room, this will all be completely revamped to accommodate that. We have a lot of space that's not used in the kitchen, and there might be some expansion of the dining space. Everything that we do would be to suit 70 or however many additional residents that we have. All of that would be in mind. So not only does our pack not work now for our current number of residents, but I mean, there's only probably 100 residents in here right now, and we have 265 in independent living. So we don't even fit our current number of residents by a long shot. So all of it has to be taken into account. Go ahead, Margaret.
My question concerns the health center. When we were talking about the atrium to be built, there was a concern about taking certain units, certain residential units offline. Would we, with this expansion, would that be affected, or can we still be thinking forward on that aspect of it?
So all of that would be part of the conversation with the state. Today, Bill Waltz brought together, I saw you, Bill. Bill Waltz brought forward an excellent thought in the benefit fund meeting, because the question did come up, and I explained to him that one of the things that has to happen with the atrium discussion is, even if we had all the money in the world and everybody thought this was a great project for that project, we still have to have the state approve the decertification of the 2 beds as we currently have it submitted. If they questioned it, we do have actual land available to expand skilled nursing off the end of the skilled nursing unit. So if for some reason they felt we can't take skilled nursing beds offline, we need you to keep beds, we could construct conceivably additional skilled nursing beds off the end of what we call the chicken wing, which is the short end of the skilled nursing unit. So we could conceivably do that, which would be preferable to the sight line of the nursing station than putting a room on the end, like a regular room on the end of the chicken wing, and keeping those 2 beds. So we kind of have to work through that with the architects.
Would that affect the Garden View as well? I mean, because that was one of the problems in Garden View, if you recall, that we first had a plan that would take 4 units off, and that wasn't possible. So we went back to 2. Remember that discussion?
There's no way we can take any Garden View rooms offline.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Garden View.
So no way to expand Garden View.
There's no way to expand Garden View by taking rooms offline, but again, Garden View has the same opportunity theoretically to build off the end of it. So both Skilled and Garden View have they both have exits that go directly out to a yard. Now they're not graded flat, so there would have to be a lot of earthwork and things like that, but theoretically there is yard there with exterior entrances. So if they were to expand, they'd have to expand out their back ends.
But both of them.
Both, if they were going to expand, that's the only place you could go with both of those units. So that's where we're at on this. So everybody's clear. The only thing the board has authorized at this point is entering into a contract with the interior designer. We do not have an interior design yet. We do not have a scope yet. We just have a general sense of the fact that the PAC doesn't work, and that the dining room doesn't work, and that we need new carpet, and they've started to put a price tag on what all this is, but we haven't picked what the new PAC needs to be or what the new carpet needs to be. All of that is yet to come. The board has authorized the interior design contract to be signed. The board has authorized us to enter into an option with the landowner on adjacent land, which would give us 2 years to do additional due diligence to see if that land will work for us, the finances, and the village in accordance with the DEC for our project. It's not a purchase. It's 2 years of research, and they won't sell the land out from under us. That's all that's been authorized so far. Did I miss anything? So all of this is going on behind the scenes. So the next big thing that you might see is us putting out a job posting for, or a notice that we're posting for, an architect and a project manager. Go ahead, Deborah. That'll be the last question.
Given where this is going to be, there is a landowner across the street who I would expect would go into orbit if he thought that Woodland Pond was going to expand closer to his home. How much clout does someone like that have in doing a NIMBY?
So New Paltz in general is not development friendly. We expect this to get a ton of opposition. Just like this project got a ton of opposition. So this project was delayed for 3 years unnecessarily because of neighborly opposition. So we anticipate that. So what we need to do is to make it as least changeable on the front of the road frontage. And, so for example, if we have cottages and multi-level buildings, we want to put the cottages on the front of the property. We have to be very thoughtful about what is going to be our most successful way to get this through the neighbors, through the planning board. Taking sustainability has got to be top of mind. Protecting the ecosystem, the wetlands. Even if DEC says go for it, we have to take every X, Y, and Z to make it better than DEC says. Like, we know we're operating in New Paltz. We know that we're not gonna be met with open arms on this project. And that has been an enormous amount of the focus that we've gone through, and just trying to figure out how do we do this in a way that's going to be the most acceptable to people that don't want to accept this at all. So it's not just meeting the codes, it's also anticipating the opposition for the exact reasons that you said, and then a million other reasons. Okay, I think we're good. Oh, Bill Stevens has a question, and then this is going to actually be the last question.
This is not a question. This is a follow-up on what Larry had to say about the rescue squad. I have had the opportunity, or not the opportunity, to use the rescue squad on quite several occasions. And as a result, I have been giving on a yearly basis to the rescue squad. Now, tomorrow, other people in this room may be calling the rescue squad, and I would encourage that fundraising that Larry has brought up as an opportunity to show that we want them here and we need them here. So that's all.
Okay, that sounds like that's got some support. So we'll talk about that. And certainly you are more than welcome to do that on your own. They would be absolutely happy to take a donation. Our official fundraising or notwithstanding. So
they send you after you use them and you didn't go to the hospital. They send you a request for a donation.
Okay, so I know what you're saying. If you do happen to do a no transport call to them, they do send you a request for a donation. So, all right. So more to come on all of this. Okay. All right. Have a very happy Thanksgiving, everyone. If I don't see you, and I'll catch you soon.